What if I told you that your weirdest dreams are not meaningless? According to Sigmund Freud, every dream is carefully constructed by your unconscious mind. Let's uncover how this fascinating mechanism works. Hey, I am Dr. Zara, a licensed psychologist, and welcome back to the Dream Psychology series. In this video, we all dive into Chapter 2, Part 1 of Sigmund Freud's book, Dream Psychology, titled The Dream Mechanism. In the previous chapter, we learned that dreams are not random, but if dreams carry hidden meanings, how are they actually created? If you have ever wondered why dreams seems confusing, bizarre, or completely unrelated to your daily life, stay till the end. Today, we all uncover the hidden mechanism that shapes every dream. Let's get started. We are compelled to assume that such transformation of scene has also taken place in intricate dream. Though we do not know whether it has encountered any possible desire. The dream instanced at the commencement, which we analyze somewhat thoroughly, did give us occasion in two places to suspect something of the kind. Analysis brought out that my wife was occupied with other at table and that I did not like it. In the dream itself, exactly the opposite occurs, for the person who replaces my wife gives me her undivided intention. But can one wish for anything pleasanter after a disagreeable incident that the exact contrary should have occurred? Just as the dream has it, the stinging thought in the analysis that I have never had anything for nothing is similarly connected with the beautiful eyes. Some portion of the opposition between the latent and manifest content of the dream must be therefore derived from the realization of a wish. Another manifestation of the dream works which all incoherent dreams have in common is still more noticeable. Choose any instance and compare the number of the separate elements in it or the extent of the dream. It retreats separation down the dream thought yielded by analysis and of which but a trace can be found in the dream itself. There can be no doubt that the dream working has resulted in an extraordinary compression or concentration. It is not at first easy to form an opinion as to the extent of the condition. That more deeply you go into the analysis, the more deeply you are impressed by it. There will be found no factor in the dream whence the chains of associations do not lead in two or more directions. No sense which has not been pieced together out of two or more impressions and events. For instance, I once dreamed about a kind of swimming bath where the bathers suddenly separated in all directions. At one place on the edge, a person stood bending towards one of the bathers as if to drag him out. The scene was composite, one made up out of an event that occurred at the time of puberty, and two pictures, one which I had seen just shortly before the dreams. The two pictures were the surprise in the bath from Sidwin's cycle of the action, not the bathur suddenly separating and the flute by an Italian master. The little incident was that I once witnessed a lady who had tried in the swimming bath until the men's hours being helped out of the water by the swimming master. The scene in the dream, which has selected for analysis, led to be whole group of reminiscences, each one of which had contributed to the dream content. First of all came the little episode from the time of my counted, of which I have already spoken. The pressure of a hand under the table gave rise in the dream to the under the table, which I had subsequently to find a place for in my recollection. There was, of course, at the time not a word about undivided intention. Analysis taught me that this factor in the realization of a desires taught me that this factor is the realization of a desire through it contradictory and related to the behavior of my wife at the table of dehort. And exactly similarly and much more important episode of our courtship, one which separated us from an entire day, lies hidden behind the recent recollection. The intimacy, that hand resting upon the knee, refers to a quite different connection and to quite other person. This element in the dream becomes again the starting point of two distinct series of resonances. The stuff of the dream thoughts, which has been accumulating for the formation of the dream scene, must be naturally fit for the application. There must be one or more common factor. The dream work proceed like Francis Gallatin with his family photographs. The different elements are put one on top of the other. What is common to the composite picture stand out clearly. The opposite detail cancel each other. This process of reproduction partly explains the wavering statement of a peculiarly weakness in so many elements of the dream. For the interpretation of dream, this rule holds good. When analysis discloses uncertainty as to either or read and taking each section of apparent alternative as a separate outlet for a series of impressions. When there is nothing in common between the dream thoughts, the dream works takes the trouble to create a something in order to make a common presentation feasible in the dream. The simplest way to approximate two dream thoughts which have as yet nothing in common consists in making such a change in the actual expression of one idea as will meet a slight responsive recasting in the form of the other idea. The process analogous to that of rhyme when consonance supplies the desired common factor. A good deal of the dream work consists in the creation of those frequently very witty but often extravagant digression. These vary from the common presentation in the dream content to dream thought, which are as weird as the cause in from essence which gave rise to them. In the analysis of our example of a dream, I find a like case of transformation of a thought in order that I might agree with other essentially for in one. In following out the analysis I struck upon the thought, I should like to have something for nothing. But this formula is not serviceable to the dream, hence it is replaced by another one. I should like to enjoy something free of cost. The word cost, taste, with its double meaning, is appropriate to a table dehot it moreover in the place through the special sense in the dream. At home, if there is a dish which the children decline, their mother first tries gentle persuasions with a just taste it. The dream works should enhancingly use the double meaning of the word is certainly remarkable. Ample experience has shown, however, the occurrence in through condensation of the dream certain constituent part of its content are acceptable which are peculiar to the dream life alone and which are not found in the waking state. Such are the composite and mixed person, the extraordinary mixed figures, creations comparable with the fantastic animal compositions of Orientals, a moment through, and these are reduced to unity. Wishless to fancies of the dream are ever formed anew in excipial profusion. Everyone knows such image in his own dream. Manifold are their origins. I can build up a person by borrowing one feature from one person and one from another, or by giving to the from one of the name another in my dream. I can also visualize one person but place him in a position which has occurred to another. There is a meaning in all these cases which different person and amalgamate into one substitute. Such case denote and are just like a comparison of the original person from a certain point of view. A comparison which can be also realized in the dream itself. As a rule, however, the identify to the blend person in only discoverable by analysis and in only indicate in the dream content by formation of the combined person. The same person diversity in their ways of formation and the same rules for its solution hold good also for the innumerable medley of dream content, examples of which I need scarcely adduce. Their strangeness quite disappear when we resolve not to place them on a level with the object of perception as known to us when awake. But no, remember, they represent the art of dream condensation by an exclusion of unnecessary detail. Prominence is giving to the common character of the combination. Analysis must also generally supply the common features. The dream says simply, all these things have an X in common. The decomposition of these mixed images by analysis is often the quickest way to an interpretation of the dream. Thus, I once dreamed that I was sitting with one of my former university tutor on a bench which was undergoing a rapid continuous movement amidst other benches. This was a combination of lecture room and moving staircase. I will not pursue the further result of the thought. Another time I was sitting in a carriage and on my lap an object in shape like a top hat, which however was made of transparent glass. The scene at once brought to my mind proverb, he who keep his hat in his hand will travel safely through the kind land. By a slight turn, the glass had reminded me our light, and I knew that I was about to invent something which was to make me as rich and independent. Dr. A year of Wells batch, then I should be able to travel instead of remaining down Vinya. In the dream, I was travel with my invention with the is it true? Rather awkward glass top hat. The dream work is peculiarly adapt the representing two contradictory conceptions by means of the same mixed image. Thus, from instance, a woman dreamed of herself carved a tall flower stalk as in the picture of Anukia Tuition's charity Mary in her own name, but the stalk was beaked with thick white blossom, a great deal of what we have called dream concentration can be thus formulated. Each one of the elements of the dream content is overdetermined by the matter of the dream thought. It is not derived from one element of these thought but from a whole series. Are not necessarily interconnected in any way but may belong to the most diverse spheres of thought. The dream element truly represents all this disparate matter in the dream content. Analysis, moreover, discloses another sides of the relationship between dream content and dream thought. Just as one element of the dream leads to associations with several dream thoughts, so as a rule that one dream thought representation from then one dream element. The thread of the association do not simply coverage from the dream thought to the dream content but on the way of overlap and interweave in every way. Next to the transformation of one thought in the scene, it determination condensation in the most important and most characteristic features of the dream work. We have as yet not clue as the motive calling for such compression of content in the complicated and intricate dream with which we are now concerned. Condensation and dramatization do not wholly account for the difference between dream content and thought. There is evidence of a third factor which deserves careful consideration. When I have arrived at an understanding of the dream thought by my analysis, I notice above all that the matter thought by my manifest is very different from that the latent dream content. That is, I admitted only an apparent difference which questions on closer investigation. For in the end, I find the whole dream content carried out in the dream thought, nearly all the dream thought again represented in the dream content. Nevertheless, there does remain a certain amount of difference. The essential content which stood out clearly and broadly in the dream must, after analysis, rest satisfied with the very subordinate role among the dream thought. These very dream thought which, going by my feeling, have a claim to the greatest importance are either not present all the in the dream content are represented by some remote illusion in some obscure region of the dream. I can thus describe the phenomena during the dream work, the psychical intensity of the thought and conversation to which is properly obtained flows to other which, in my judgment, have no claim to such emphasis. There is no other person which contributes so much to coherence of the dream meaning and make the connection between the process which I will call the dream displacement. I notice also psychical intensity, significance or emotional nature of the thought become transport in sensory vividness. But was clearest in the dream seems to me without further condensation. The most important but often is some obscure element of the dream. I can recognize the most direct offspring of the principal dream thought. I could only designate this dream displacement as the translation of psychical value. The phenomena will not have been condensation in all its bearing unless add this displacement or translation is shared by different dream in extremely varying degrees. There is dream which take place almost without any displacement. These have the same time, meaning and intelligibility as we found the dreams which record a desire in other dream not a bit, for the dream idea has been retained its own psychical value, or everything essential in these dream idea has been replaced by an essential wish list. Every kind of transition between these conditions can be found. The more obscure and intricate a dream, the greater is the part to be ascribed to the imputed of displacement in its formation. The example that we chose for analysis shows at least this much of displacement. This is content has different center of interest from that of the dream idea. In forefront of the dream content, the main scene appear as if a woman wished to make advance to me. In the dream idea, the chief interest rests on the desire to enjoy. Didn't instruct the chief interest rests on the desire, love which all shall costing nothing. The idea lies as the back of the talk about the beautiful eyes and far-fetched allusion to Spanish. If we abolish the dream displacement, we attain through analysis quite certain conclusion regarding two problems of the dream which are most disputed as the what provoke and dream at all, and as a connection of the dream with our waking life. There are dreams which at once expose their links with the events of the day. In other, no trace of such a connection can be found. By the aid of analysis, it can be shown that every dream without any expectation linked up with our expression of the day. Or perhaps it would be more concerted to say the day previous to the dream. The impressions which have inside the dream may be so important that we are not surprised at our being occupied with them. Wishlist awake. In this case, we are right in saying that more usually, however, when the dream contains anything relating to impression of the day, it is so trivial, unimportant, and so deserving of oblivion that we can only recall it within an effort. The need of discovering some motive for this believed work of the dream is even more called for in the case displacement than in condensation. All thought the work of displacement must be held mainly responsible if the dream thought are not refound or recognized in the dream content. Unless the motive for the change to be guessed, it is an other and milder kind transformation which will be considered with the dream thought, which lead to discover of a new readily understood act of the dream. The first dream thought which are unraveled by analysis frequently strike one by their usual wording. They would appear to be one by their usual wording. Dreams may seem mysterious, but according to Freud, every dream has a purpose and a hidden meaning waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this exploration of the dream mechanism, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 2. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Zara and I'll see you in the next chapter of Dream Psychology. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with anyone.